Aliens mistook Earth for allies. The Deathworlders' fleet arrived instead. The stars beyond Earth's orbit were calm, almost peaceful. Yet far from this calm, the alien Union's capital was alive with worry. Their fleets had fought many wars, but nothing had prepared them for the Deathworlders. The Union's scholars had studied Earth from afar, noticing how humans traded, negotiated, and solved conflicts without mass destruction. To them, humans seemed like perfect allies, wise, cautious, and willing to help. The Union decided to send a message across the void. They asked for military support. They imagined humans would send advisors, small fleets, or at least diplomats. On Earth, the message arrived quietly in a secure office in New York. Ethan Clark, a middle-aged man who had led several space programs, stared at the alien symbols projected in light. His assistant, Laura Bennett, leaned close, her fingers tapping nervously on the console. "They want our help," Laura said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes betrayed unease. "They think we are gentle allies." Ethan shook his head slowly. "Gentle allies," he muttered. He had studied human history, and he knew how easily humans could be misjudged. Earth had survived centuries of war, environmental collapse, and endless struggles. Humans were adaptable, cunning, and sometimes ruthless. The aliens could not imagine the reality of Earth. They had no idea that humans did not negotiate out of weakness. They negotiated because they could. And when pressed too far, humans could unleash force no one expected. In Washington, High Command gathered in a large oval room. Commanders Jack Morris and Samantha Lee spoke over holograms. Maps of alien territories floated in midair, showing the borders of the Union, the approaching enemy fleets, and the deadly planets of distant systems. Jack's voice was firm. "If we send ships, it will not be advisory fleets. It will not be protection forces. Earth has plans for threats like this. The moment we enter their space, the enemy will cease to exist." Samantha nodded. "We cannot pretend to be what they expect." The aliens think humans are diplomatic. They do not understand Deathworlders. We survive worlds that would kill their fleets. We fight enemies that would destroy theirs. They ask for help, but we do not help like they think. We end wars. Outside the war room, civilians in orbital stations watched the skies. Noah Price, a technician, adjusted the energy shields around a research platform. He had never fought in war, but he had seen simulations that chilled him to the bone. Claire Young, a schoolteacher working in space education, watched him with wide eyes. "So, humans are going to fight?" she asked. Noah shook his head. "Not exactly. Humans are going to make sure no one fights again." He looked at her seriously. "The aliens do not know what they asked for. They think we are helpers. We are something else." Back in the High Command room, the decision was made. Human fleets from hidden bases were activated. Ancient ships, some older than the first space colonies, were pulled from their concealed docks. Engines that had slept for decades roared to life. Factories long thought obsolete began producing weapons, fuel, and ammunition. Humans had no time for celebration. There was no patriotic ceremony. There was only preparation. Ethan Clark oversaw the assembly of one of the largest fleets Earth had ever built. He walked along the docks with Laura, observing crews checking systems, tightening panels, and loading munitions. "They expect us to be calm advisors," Ethan said quietly. "Instead, they will see what Deathworlders really are." Laura nodded, watching the massive ships. "They think humans are allies. They do not understand that Earth has rules for survival. The moment we enter that conflict, it will not be a fight. It will be the end." In the alien Union, celebrations had already begun. Officials assumed help would come quickly. They imagined humans teaching strategy, advising on tactics, and helping train fleets. The Union's commander, Viriak, smiled as he read the transmission confirming human engagement. He had no idea that he had misjudged Earth completely. He had no idea that the humans he expected to aid him were not advisors. They were annihilators. As the fleets prepared, human pilots underwent intensive training. Luke Carter, a young officer with a calm demeanor, ran simulations with his squad. "Remember," he told them, "we do not fight for glory. We do not fight for the Union. We fight because war must end. The enemy will not survive. That is the rule." His team nodded silently. The gravity of the mission was clear to everyone. No one underestimated it. Earth sent messages back to the alien Union, but the tone was carefully neutral. Humans did not boast. They did not promise assistance. They simply confirmed their presence in space and the readiness of their fleets. The Union interpreted it as politeness, diplomacy, and calm planning. They still did not understand. On the day of departure, civilians waved as the human fleets left orbit. Ethan stood on the command bridge, looking out at the endless stars. He thought of the alien request, of the Union's hope, and of the enemy waiting in distant systems. He knew that once humans engaged, there would be no turning back. As the fleets moved toward the edge of Union space, communication signals flickered with alien anticipation. The Union's officers discussed strategies and plans, imagining the humans joining their forces as partners. Viriak spoke with pride. "Soon, the Deathworlders will advise us. Their knowledge is unmatched. Together we will stop the enemy." He smiled. But human ships moved silently, without ceremony. Pilots did not wave. Engineers did not celebrate. Humans had no interest in approval or praise. They only moved with purpose, knowing the enemy's destruction awaited them. Ethan Clark reviewed the fleet logs, checking systems one last time. Laura stood beside him. "They have no idea what is coming," she said. Ethan nodded. "No," he agreed, "they do not. They think humans are allies. They will soon learn the truth. Humans do not protect. Humans end." The stars stretched endlessly before them as the fleets traveled. In the alien Union, officials still imagined they would see advisors and diplomats arrive to help. In truth, what approached them was far different. Human fleets moved with quiet confidence, unafraid of the deadly systems ahead. Planets that had been lifeless for centuries suddenly seemed alive with potential danger to anyone foolish enough to oppose humans. Back on Earth, civilians continued their routines, but evacuation procedures were in place for border colonies. Factories and repair docks worked around the clock. Weapons that had not been fired in decades roared to life. Humans did not question orders. They did not hesitate. Their world had trained them for chaos, for survival, and for absolute decisions. As night fell on Earth, Ethan looked at the stars and remembered old stories of wars long past. Humans had survived worlds that would have destroyed any other species. Humans had conquered death in their own way, and now the Union had asked for help. They would receive it, just not in the way they expected. Far away, alien scouts reported the approaching human fleets. Their sensors showed vast ships, heavily armed and armored. Panic rippled through the Union's lower ranks. The leaders reassured themselves, insisting humans would act as allies, not as predators. But unease had entered even their confident minds. Somewhere deep in the calculations, doubt began to grow. The fleets moved silently through the void, carrying pilots, soldiers, engineers, and machines. Each ship was a promise of survival for humans and a warning to anyone who might oppose them. Ethan Clark's voice echoed in the minds of his commanders. "We do not negotiate with death. We do not allow enemies to survive. We end threats before they can strike. The universe must remember why Earth is called a death world." As Part 1 drew to a close, humans continued their journey through space. The Union celebrated, believing their allies would soon arrive. The enemy awaited, unaware that the universe itself was about to change. Humans were coming, and with them, the war would end in a way no one had imagined. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. The human fleets moved deeper into space, leaving Earth behind. Planets and stars passed silently outside their windows, But inside the ships, the tension was high. Ethan Clark and Laura Bennett oversaw every detail. Every engine, weapon system, and navigation control was checked twice. Humans did not leave things to chance. They survived because they planned, adapted, and acted with precision. In the Alien Union, celebrations continued. Officials still imagined humans arriving as advisors, small fleets guiding their operations. Viriak addressed the Union Council with pride. The humans will join our forces. Their knowledge of war is unmatched. With them, we will crush the enemy quickly. His words were confident, but beneath his pride, a small unease began to grow. The reports from scouts had shown the size of the fleets, and the scouts could not explain the calm precision of the ship's movements. Back in the human high command, Jack Morris and Samantha Lee prepared strategies. They did not plan for advice or minor skirmishes. They planned for total elimination of the enemy. Jack's voice was steady. "We are not going to guide them. We are going to finish this war. Any enemy fleet, base, or planet that opposes us will not survive. The Union did not ask for this. We will give it anyway." Samantha nodded. "The Union does not understand what they requested. We will not negotiate. We will not protect. We will destroy. They will see us differently once the first battle begins." In the human training camps, soldiers prepared for the worst environments in the galaxy. Luke Carter led squads across toxic wastelands and radioactive plains. Natalie Brooks taught teams to move in chemical storms and deadly acid rains. Humans thrived in places where aliens could not survive more than a few hours. Each soldier carried knowledge of survival, tactics, and endurance. They did not fear the enemy or the planets. They embraced the challenge. Civilians in space stations and border colonies were evacuated carefully. Noah Price worked tirelessly on the energy shields of the stations. Claire Young helped coordinate the transport of families, schools, and supplies. Despite the chaos, there was order. Humans had learned that chaos could be controlled with careful planning and teamwork. As the fleets approached the edge of Alien Union space, the first sensors detected enemy movements. The hostile Empire's scouts had noticed human ships but assumed they were small advisory fleets. They did not understand the scale. The enemy commanders, proud and arrogant, believed they could intimidate Earth the way they did other civilizations. They did not know humans survived worlds that would have destroyed their entire fleets. On the lead human ship, Ethan Clark reviewed the reports. "They think we are small. They do not understand. The moment we engage, the enemy will not last. Every system they control, every fleet they command will fall." Laura Bennett stood beside him, checking communication lines. "The Union believes we will advise. In their minds, we are calm, patient allies. They will see us differently very soon." The first contact came in the form of a small skirmish. The enemy fleet moved to attack the Union's border outpost. Human sensors tracked every ship, every movement, every weakness. Luke Carter's squad prepared for deployment in orbit. Human ships did not wait for orders to act. They moved silently, quickly, and with deadly precision. When the first battle began, the enemy was stunned. Human ships did not scatter or defend. They advanced. Weapons fired with perfect timing, shields moved with precise calculations, and the enemy fleet was destroyed in minutes. The Union's officers watched in horror and awe. Viriak's voice shook as he spoke over the communication channels. They are not like us. They are not like any ally we imagined." Ethan Clark remained calm. "We do not fight like they expect. We do not protect. We end. The first wave is done. The rest will follow if the enemy resists." Laura nodded. "The Union will learn quickly. Humans are not advisors. Humans are final." After the first skirmish, humans moved into enemy territory. Every system they passed was carefully scanned, mapped, and prepared for potential threats. Engineers repaired ships while soldiers trained for extreme conditions. Even in orbit, humans adapted. They used planets, gravity, atmosphere and magnetic fields to their advantage. The enemy had no idea humans could survive and fight in conditions that would have destroyed any other fleet. In the alien Union, panic spread among the lower ranks. Officers whispered that the humans were too efficient, too deadly, too precise. The council could not stop them. Viriak tried to reassure them. They are helping us. They are finishing the battles quickly. It is better than slow conflict. But doubts lingered. The humans were not slowing for anyone. They did not wait for approval. They acted with purpose. Back on the front lines, ground operations began on hostile worlds. Luke Carter and Natalie Brooks led teams across frozen wastelands, toxic jungles, and acidic plains. Human soldiers adapted instantly, using materials around them to build shelters, weapons, and defenses. The enemy attempted ambushes, but humans anticipated every trap. Every strike was countered before it could succeed. The Deathworlders were unstoppable. Human ships moved through the skies of enemy planets, scanning for fleets and bases. Pilots reported enemy forces hiding in asteroids and underground bunkers. Ethan Clarke's voice came over communication channels. "We do not negotiate. We do not give chances. Every base we find will fall. Every fleet we detect will be destroyed. This is the way humans survive." Civilians continued to evacuate from border colonies. Noah Price and Claire Young coordinated with military teams to ensure families were safe. They moved quietly, efficiently, and without panic. Humans did not allow fear to spread. They controlled chaos like they controlled technology. In the alien Union, officials tried to keep morale high. They sent messages of praise to human fleets, hoping to guide them or control them. The messages went unanswered. Humans did not communicate for approval or recognition. They only acted. Viriak's pride turned into fear as reports came in. Entire enemy systems were erased. Fleets vanished. Planets went silent. The humans were not protecting allies. They were eliminating threats entirely. Ethan Clarke watched the reports carefully. Laura Bennett stood beside him, noting the efficiency of every move. "They think we are calm allies," Ethan said quietly. "They do not know we are Deathworlders. They do not know what that means." Human soldiers continued their missions on the ground. Luke Carter's squad survived storms of acid, winds that could rip apart any ship, and predators the enemy considered invincible. Natalie Brooks led another team through radioactive jungles where the air itself burned lungs. Humans adapted. They survived. They advanced. The enemy had never faced such determination. On the lead human ship, Ethan addressed the fleet. "We are here to end the war. Not to guide it, not to protect it, not to negotiate. The enemy will not survive. Any system that stands in our way will fall. This is the way humans fight. This is the way humans survive." As human fleets moved deeper, the alien Union began to understand the truth. Humans were not like any other ally they had known. They were not calm, careful, or negotiable. They were Deathworlders, forces that ended conflict completely. Viriak realized the error in judgment. "We asked for help," he whispered to himself. "We did not know what we requested." The humans, they are more than we imagined, more than we feared, more than we hoped. The fleets advanced and the war shifted. The enemy tried to retreat, regroup, and surrender. Humans did not pause. They did not negotiate. They did not accept partial peace. Fleets were destroyed. Bases were erased. Planets were silenced. The Deathworlders were unstoppable. Ethan Clarke looked out at the stars from the bridge of his flagship. Laura Bennett joined him, silent for a moment. "The Union will never see us the same way again," she said softly. Ethan nodded. "No. They will never expect what comes next. They believe we are allies, but they do not know humans. Humans survive. Humans end threats. Humans are the final force." As Part 2 closed, human fleets moved silently through enemy space. Every system they passed became a warning. The alien Union realized their mistake. They had asked for allies. They had received Deathworlders. The stars themselves seemed to tremble as humans advanced, showing the universe why Earth was feared, not for strength alone, but for the certainty that nothing could survive when humans acted. The human fleets moved deeper into enemy space. Planets once thought safe were now under constant watch. Sensors scanned every orbit, every asteroid, every signal. Humans did not rush recklessly. They moved with precision, patience, and deadly purpose. Ethan Clarke and Laura Bennett monitored every report from the lead ships. They had learned long ago that humans survived not because of luck, but because of planning and endurance. In the alien Union, Viriak and the Council watched the reports nervously. The first skirmishes had already shocked them. Fleets that they believed would only guide or advise had instead destroyed enemy forces completely. They sent messages of thanks and requests for coordination, but the humans acted silently. They did not respond to requests for meetings. They only advanced. The Union began to realize that humans were not like any other ally in history. On the battlefield, Luke Carter led squads through worlds that seemed uninhabitable. Frozen plains stretched for thousands of miles, acid rain fell in sheets, and violent storms tore through the skies. Yet human soldiers adapted. They built shelters from debris, weapons from available materials, and shields from energy sources found in the environment. Every step was planned, every movement precise. The enemy tried to ambush them, but humans anticipated every trap. Natalie Brooks led another squad through a radioactive jungle. The plants burned skin on contact, the air was toxic, and the ground shifted like liquid. Yet her team moved without hesitation. They scanned every area, cleared enemy patrols, and established forward bases for human forces. The enemy could not understand how humans survived where their best soldiers failed. In orbit, human ships intercepted enemy fleets attempting to regroup. Pilots reported their positions with precision. The ships did not scatter or hide. They advanced in formation, using planets, magnetic fields, and gravity to gain speed and positioning advantages. The enemy tried to fire on them, but shields and countermeasures were already in place. One by one, enemy fleets vanished, leaving only silence behind. Ethan Clarke watched the reports with a calm, steady expression. Laura Bennett stood beside him, checking communication links and system integrity. "They still believe we are advisors," Ethan said. "They still think we will guide them. They do not know humans. Humans do not guide. Humans end threats." The alien Union began to feel the true scale of human power. Viriak tried to reassure council members, but panic had already set in. "They are helping us," he said nervously. "They are destroying the enemy quickly." It is better than slow battles. But he could not hide the fear in his own voice. The humans were not helping, they were completing the war. They were unstoppable. On a distant planet, Luke Carter's squad encountered the enemy's elite soldiers. These soldiers were trained for years, equipped with the best weapons, and stationed on a world the enemy considered secure. Yet humans adapted immediately. They used the terrain to their advantage, set traps, and struck with precision. The elite soldiers were defeated in hours, not days. The planet's defenses fell one by one. Humans advanced without pause. Natalie Brooks reported from another planet. Her squad had encountered chemical storms that burned sensors and corroded armor. Yet humans built shields from local minerals, repaired damaged equipment on the fly, and continued advancing. Every enemy encounter ended the same way. Humans survived and the enemy fell. In the alien Union, panic spread among the lower ranks. Officers whispered about humans' efficiency, precision, and adaptability. Some began to fear that humans might not stop after the war. Viriak tried to calm them. "They are allies. They will only act to help us." But the reports were clear. Humans were not protecting the Union. They were eliminating threats. The alien leaders realized too late that humans did not fight for others. They fought for survival, and survival meant total victory. On the human flagship, Ethan Clark addressed the fleet. "We do not fight for glory, we do not negotiate, we do not protect, we end threats. Every fleet we encounter will be destroyed, every base we find will fall, every system that resists will be neutralized. This is the way humans survive, this is the way humans fight." The crew nodded silently. There was no emotion, no celebration. They did not need it. They were focused on the mission. As human fleets moved deeper, the enemy began to panic. They sent messages of surrender, attempts to negotiate partial peace. The humans did not respond. They did not accept conditions. Every system that resisted was destroyed. Entire fleets vanished. Planets went silent. The enemy had never faced such certainty. In orbit above a hostile planet, Luke Carter's squad observed enemy reinforcements arriving. They did not hesitate. Humans launched coordinated strikes from ground and orbit. Missiles, energy weapons, and tactical strikes combined to destroy the enemy before they could even organize. Within hours, the reinforcements were gone, leaving the planet open for human occupation. Natalie Brooks reported similar victories from her squad. Every enemy attack failed. Every trap was anticipated. Every ambush was countered. The enemy began to realize that humans were not like any force they had known. Humans survived worlds, adapted instantly, and struck with precision. They did not retreat. They did not negotiate. They ended threats. In the Alien Union, council members argued. Some wanted to contact humans to control them, to prevent further destruction. Others feared doing so, worried humans would see the interference as weakness. Viriak remained silent, watching the reports with growing dread. The humans were not allies. They were Deathworlders, forces that ended wars completely. The Union had misjudged them. Ethan Clark reviewed the latest reports. Laura Bennett joined him, noting every destroyed fleet and fallen planet. "The Union will learn soon enough," Ethan said quietly. "They asked for allies. They received Deathworlders. They do not understand what that means." On another planet, Luke Carter's squad cleared enemy bases. Toxic fumes filled the air, the ground shifted unpredictably, and alien soldiers tried to counterattack. Humans adapted. They built mobile shields, repaired vehicles instantly, and struck with coordinated precision. No enemy force could survive the humans' advance. Natalie Brooks led a similar operation. Her squad moved through forests of acid rain and poisonous spores. The enemy tried to hide in underground bunkers, but humans used scanning equipment to locate and destroy them. Every planet became a warning. Resistance was futile. Humans survived the impossible. Humans ended threats completely. In the Alien Union, Viriak finally understood. The humans were not advisors. They were not protectors. They were the final force. Every officer in the council felt fear for the first time. The humans had arrived, and nothing in the galaxy could stop them. Ethan Clark looked at the stars from his flagship. Laura Bennett stood beside him, silent. "They will never see us the same way again," she said. Ethan nodded. "No, they will never expect what comes next. Humans survive. Humans end threats. Humans are final." As Part 3 closed, human fleets moved deeper into enemy territory. Every system they passed became a warning. Enemy fleets tried to regroup, but humans anticipated every move. Planets went silent. The Alien Union realized their mistake. They had asked for allies. They had received Deathworlders. The stars themselves seemed to tremble as humans advanced, showing the galaxy why Earth was feared. Not for strength alone, but for the certainty that nothing could survive when humans acted. The human fleets pushed further into enemy territory. Every system they entered became a warning to anyone who dared resist. Planets that had been considered safe became battlefields in which humans adapted instantly. Ethan Clark and Laura Bennett monitored reports from the front lines. Each destroyed fleet, each fallen base, each planet gone silent confirmed one truth. Humans did not fight to protect. They fought to end threats completely. In the alien Union, Viriak and the Council grew increasingly anxious. They had sent requests for help, expecting guidance, small fleets, and diplomatic assistance. What arrived instead were Deathworlders. Officers whispered in halls, trying to understand what they had witnessed. "They are more than we imagined," one council member said quietly. "They are unstoppable." Viriak nodded but said nothing. He knew the humans were beyond control. On a frozen world, Luke Carter's squad moved across ice plains that stretched for hundreds of miles. The enemy had stationed elite forces here, confident that no one could survive the cold and the storms. Luke's team built shelters and mobile energy shields from the ice and local minerals. They advanced silently, striking enemy patrols before they could react. Soldiers like Luke and Natalie Brooks adapted instinctively, making the impossible possible. In orbit, human fleets moved as a single, coordinated force. Enemy reinforcements tried to escape from one system to another, but human ships anticipated their movements. Missiles, energy weapons, and advanced targeting destroyed fleeing ships before they could regroup. The enemy tried to surrender in some areas, offering peace in exchange for retreat. Humans did not accept. Partial peace was meaningless. The war would end completely. Ethan Clark stood on the bridge of the flagship observing the reports. Laura Bennett joined him, reviewing communications and fleet movements. "They still hope we are calm allies," Ethan said quietly. "They do not understand humans. Humans survive, humans adapt, and humans end threats. The Union thought they requested help. They received judgment." Ground forces continued to move across enemy planets. Luke Carter's squad reached a toxic jungle where the air burned lungs and the ground shifted unpredictably. Enemy forces attempted ambushes, but humans were always ready. They created shelters, constructed weapons from materials found around them, and advanced relentlessly. Every attack by the enemy failed. Humans adapted instantly, learned quickly, and overcame every obstacle. Natalie Brooks reported from another planet. Her squad navigated acidic rivers, poisonous spores, and unstable terrain. Enemy soldiers tried to hide in underground bunkers, but humans located them with scanning equipment and destroyed them efficiently. No enemy force survived contact with the Deathworlders. Every mission ended the same way. Humans advanced, the enemy fell, and the galaxy saw the certainty of human power. In the alien Union, panic had spread among lower ranks. Officers whispered in fear that humans might not stop after the war. Viriak tried to reassure the Council, but his own voice shook. "They are helping us. They are completing battles quickly. It is better than slow wars," he said. Yet even he could not ignore the reports. Fleets vanished. Planets went silent. Humans were not protecting the Union, they were finishing the war. Ethan Clark reviewed the latest reports with calm determination. Laura Bennett stood beside him, noting every destroyed fleet and fallen base. "They still think we are advisors," Ethan said quietly. "The Union will see soon enough. Humans are not advisors. Humans are final." On a distant world, Luke Carter's squad cleared enemy outposts. Storms of acid and wind made sensors useless, but humans built shields and adapted weapons instantly. The enemy tried to counterattack, but human precision and adaptability overwhelmed them. Every base fell, every patrol was destroyed. Humans did not pause. They did not negotiate. They ended threats completely. Natalie Brooks led a similar operation. Her squad moved through radioactive forests and poisonous swamps. Underground bunkers were no protection. Humans scanned, found, and eliminated all resistance. The enemy's hope of survival diminished with every human advance. Resistance was no longer an option. In orbit, human fleets intercepted fleeing enemy ships. Pilots reported positions with precision. No ship escaped. Human forces anticipated every move, using gravity, magnetic fields, and advanced tactics to destroy the enemy before they could regroup. The war was no longer a contest. It was a warning to the galaxy. Humans were Deathworlders. They ended threats. Nothing could survive them once engaged. The alien union sent urgent messages to humans, hoping to guide or stop them. Humans ignored the messages. They did not act for approval, for praise, or for guidance. Humans acted only for total completion of the mission. Every planet captured, every fleet destroyed, every enemy soldier eliminated was proof of human certainty. Ethan Clarke addressed the fleets. We do not fight for glory. We do not negotiate. We do not protect. We end threats. Every fleet we encounter will be destroyed. Every base we find will fall. Every system that resists will be neutralized. This is the way humans survive. This is the way humans fight. The crew nodded silently. No emotion, no celebration, only focus on the mission. On another world, Luke Carter's squad faced environmental dangers that would have destroyed alien soldiers. Toxic air burned lungs. Storms raged unpredictably. Yet humans adapted. They used the terrain to their advantage, repaired equipment instantly, and advanced with precision. Every enemy force failed against them. Humans survived, humans advanced, humans ended threats completely. Natalie Brooks reported similar victories. Enemy reinforcements were intercepted and destroyed before they could organize. Underground bunkers were found and eliminated. Toxic rivers, radioactive forests, and shifting terrain could not stop humans. The Deathworlders adapted and conquered all obstacles. In the Alien Union, council members argued and panicked. Some wanted to contact humans to control them, to prevent further destruction. Others feared doing so, worried humans would see interference as weakness. Viriac remained silent, watching the reports with growing dread. The humans were beyond control. They were Deathworlders, forces that ended wars completely. Ethan Clarke looked at the stars from the flagship. Laura Bennett stood beside him, silent. "They will never see us the same way again," she said softly. Ethan nodded. "No, they will never expect what comes next. Humans survive. Humans end threats. Humans are final." As human fleets moved deeper into enemy territory, the enemy tried to regroup, surrender, and negotiate. Humans did not pause. They did not respond to offers. Every system that resisted was destroyed. Every fleet that opposed them vanished. Every planet went silent. The enemy had never faced such certainty. The Alien Union realized their mistake. They had requested allies. They had received Deathworlders. They had misjudged humans completely. Viriac's pride had turned to fear. Council members whispered in despair. The humans were beyond imagination. The war was ending, not in small battles but in complete eradication of threats. On a distant planet, Luke Carter's squad moved through ruins of enemy bases. Survivors tried to escape, but humans anticipated every path. Humans adapted to toxic rivers, acid rain, and unstable ground. Every enemy soldier captured or destroyed confirmed the certainty of human action. Resistance was futile. Natalie Brooks' squad advanced similarly. Scanning, adapting, and eliminating threats, they left no room for the enemy to recover. Every planet became a warning. The enemy could no longer escape. Humans survived the impossible and ended threats completely. Ethan Clarke and Laura Bennett watched from orbit as reports confirmed the humans' unstoppable advance. "The Union will learn the truth," Ethan said. "They thought they requested allies. They received Deathworlders. Humans survive, humans adapt, humans end threats. The universe will remember this." As Part 4 concluded, the war had shifted completely. Human fleets and ground forces moved with precision and certainty. Enemy fleets vanished. Planets went silent. The Alien Union realized the full truth. Humans were not allies. Humans were Deathworlders. Every battle, every mission, every destroyed system reinforced the lesson. The stars themselves seemed to tremble as humans advanced. leaving no doubt of their ultimate power and purpose. The human fleets moved closer to the enemy homeworld. Every system along the way had already fallen or been destroyed. Enemy fleets that had once seemed strong were now gone. Planets were silent. The Deathworlders had left no chance for recovery. Ethan Clark watched the reports from the flagship with calm eyes. Laura Bennett stood beside him, noting each destroyed fleet, each neutralized system, each planet erased. In the Alien Union, Viriak and the Council held emergency meetings. They had sent messages to humans begging them to slow their advance, offering more resources, promising alliances, pleading for mercy. None of the messages were answered. Humans did not negotiate. They did not give chances. They ended threats. The council members whispered fearfully to one another. "We have misjudged them," one said. "We asked for allies. We received judgment." On the front lines, Luke Carter led his squad across the last enemy strongholds. The planets were harsh, full of toxic storms, violent winds, and dangerous predators. Enemy soldiers had gathered their best weapons, hoping to make a final stand. Luke's team adapted immediately. They built mobile shields from local minerals, repaired vehicles on the fly, and struck with precision. Every attack by the enemy failed. Humans survived. Humans advanced. Humans ended threats completely. Natalie Brooks and her squad moved through radioactive forests where the ground shifted unpredictably. The enemy tried hiding in underground bunkers, but humans found them with scanning equipment. Every enemy soldier that resisted was eliminated. No base survived human assaults. No system was safe from human precision. The enemy homeworld itself trembled under the knowledge that the humans were coming. In orbit, human fleets intercepted the last fleeing enemy ships. Pilots reported their positions instantly. Ships were destroyed before they could regroup. No enemy fleet escaped. No planet could resist. Humans moved silently and efficiently, leaving nothing to chance. Ethan Clark addressed the fleet. "We do not fight for glory. We do not negotiate. We do not protect. We end threats. Every fleet we encounter will be destroyed. Every base we find will fall. Every system that resists will be neutralized. This is the way humans survive. This is the way humans fight." The enemy homeworld attempted to communicate, offering surrender, promising loyalty, begging for mercy. Humans did not respond. Surrender was meaningless. Mercy was meaningless. The war would end completely and the enemy would not survive. Every system that resisted had already been erased. The humans were unstoppable. Ground operations began on the enemy homeworld. Luke Carter's squad moved across cities that had been fortified for decades. Every building was prepared for defense. Every street was mined and guarded. Yet humans adapted instantly. They created mobile shields, constructed weapons from available materials, and advanced relentlessly. Enemy forces were destroyed before they could even organize. The planet fell under human control within hours. Natalie Brooks' squad cleared toxic forests and chemical rivers around the capital. Enemy soldiers tried ambushes, but humans anticipated every move. Scanning equipment revealed hidden bases. Humans struck immediately. Resistance was eliminated. The homeworld's defenses collapsed. The enemy realized they had no chance of survival. Humans did not negotiate. They did not protect. They ended threats completely. In the Alien Union, Viriak and the Council watched helplessly. They had asked for allies, expecting guidance and small fleets. Instead, they had received Deathworlders. Officers whispered in fear that humans might continue beyond the enemy, that nothing could stop them. Viriak tried to calm the Council. "They are completing the war," he said quietly. "They are ending threats. It is better than slow battles." But he could not hide his own fear. Humans were beyond control. Ethan Clark reviewed the reports from orbit. Laura Bennett joined him, silent. "The Union will remember this," she said. Ethan nodded. "They will never see humans the same way again. We were requested as allies, but we are Deathworlders. Humans survive. Humans end threats. Humans are final. The last enemy fleets tried to flee through wormholes and hidden routes. Human ships anticipated every path, every escape. Every ship was destroyed before it could leave known space. The enemy had no safe place. The homeworld itself was isolated. Humans had complete control. On the planet's surface, Luke Carter and Natalie Brooks coordinated with other squads. Every enemy soldier who resisted was neutralized. Cities were cleared, bases destroyed, and dangerous zones secured. Humans adapted to environmental hazards, unpredictable terrain, and enemy traps. No force could survive their advance. The Deathworlders were unstoppable. In orbit, the flagship monitored the final stages of the conflict. Ethan Clarke addressed the fleet one last time. This is the end of the war. We do not celebrate, we do not gloat, we do not leave survivors who can threaten again. We end threats. Humans survive, humans adapt, humans are final. The crew nodded silently. Focus remained. Mission completed. No one underestimated the gravity of their actions. The enemy homeworld's leaders realized total defeat. They attempted surrender again, begging for mercy. Humans did not respond. Surrender was meaningless. Threats had already been eliminated. Humans acted not out of cruelty but certainty. The war had to end completely, and humans ensured it did. In the Alien Union, council members debated what to do next. They had misjudged humans completely. They had expected diplomacy, small fleets, guidance. They received judgment, destruction, and certainty. Officers whispered that humans might not stop if more threats existed. Viriak said nothing. The truth was clear. Humans were beyond imagination. Deathworlders had arrived, and the galaxy had witnessed their power. Ethan Clarke observed from orbit as the final enemy defenses fell. Laura Bennett checked fleet systems. "They will never see humans the same way again," she said softly. Ethan nodded. "No, the universe will remember. Humans survive, humans adapt, humans end threats. They are final." The human fleets began their return to Alien Union space. Systems that had resisted were neutralized completely. No surviving enemy forces remained. Planets were safe under human oversight, but humans did not stay to govern. They did not intervene further. The war had ended. Humans had acted as Deathworlders, not allies. The Alien Union would live, but they would never forget the lesson. On Earth, civilians watched the communications in silence. Families, engineers, and technicians saw the full scope of human action. Ethan Clarke addressed them in a broadcast. "We did not fight for glory. We did not negotiate. We did not protect. We ended threats. The war is over. Humans survive. Humans adapt. Humans are final." The message was simple, clear, and certain. In the Alien Union, Viriak reflected on the events. The humans had not acted for praise, approval, or loyalty. They had acted for certainty, survival, and finality. Council members whispered among themselves, realizing the truth. Humans were not allies. Humans were Deathworlders. They ended threats completely. The galaxy had learned a new lesson. As human fleets returned to Earth, systems in alien space remained calm. No fleets challenged them. No enemy forces survived. Humans had acted with precision, efficiency, and certainty. The universe had witnessed the true power of Deathworlders. The stars themselves seemed to hold a quiet respect, acknowledging the certainty and finality of human action. Ethan Clarke stood on the flagship's bridge, looking at the stars. Laura Bennett joined him. "They will remember," she said quietly. Ethan nodded. "Yes, humans survive, humans adapt, humans end threats, humans are final, the galaxy will never forget." As Part 5 concluded, the war was over. Enemy forces were destroyed. Planets were secured. The Alien Union survived, but they had learned an unforgettable lesson. Humans were not ordinary allies. Humans were Deathworlders. Humans ended threats completely. The universe would never mistake them again. The stars stretched endlessly before the returning fleets. Humans did not celebrate. There was no ceremony. The mission had been completed, the enemy neutralized, and the galaxy reminded that humans were certain, adaptable, and final. The Deathworlders had arrived, acted, and withdrawn, leaving only silence, certainty, and the knowledge that the universe would never see Earth the same way again.